Hi, YouTube. Are you ready for something crazy? It's about to get a little weird in here. Today's Kingdom song gives another meaning to the phrase cult classic. It debuted as song number 12 in the 1966 songbook and made it to song number 11 in 1984 with no changes, after which it was deleted from the songbook. And when you hear it, you'll know exactly why. It's called the Shulammite Remnant, but it might as well have been called a song of misogyny. So it's quite loosely based on the Song of Solomon. In 1966, the scriptural reference was literally the entire book of the Song of Solomon. They made it a bit more specific in 1984, specifying Song of Solomon 6:13, which says, "Return, return, O Shulammite. Return, return, that we may look upon thee. What will you see in the Shulammite? As it were, the company of two armies." Why they chose this one, I'm not really sure. Maybe it was the two armies. You know, for a bunch of self-professed pacifists, they sure do love them some armies. But there are far, far better verses in the Song of Solomon, which is basically, if you haven't read it, an entire book about getting it on in Bible times. Try this one out. "Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. Because of the savor of thy good ointment, thy name is an ointment poured forth. Therefore do virgins love thee. Draw me, we will run after thee. The king hath brought me into his chambers." Wee! Bear with me, y'all. There is so much to unpack here. Dear Shulammite maiden, so lovely and fair, your spiritual virtues are many and rare. Well, see, that first line was great, with the exception of the word Shulammite, which admittedly is all they had to work with. But it's just not a very lyrical word. It sounds like some kind of affliction, like, "Gee, my dog has Shulamites in his ears. What do I do for it?" Look, here's a question. I am sure that if this lovely maiden actually existed, she probably had a name. And I am also sure that whatever it was probably way better than Shulammite. Anyway, after an okay first line, then they had to go muck it up with spiritual virtues. Really? Is that really what you people think this is about? Have these people actually read the Song of Solomon? I'm thinking not. So check this out. "A bundle of myrrh is my well-beloved unto me. He shall lie all night betwixt my breasts." This doesn't sound like any spiritual virtue I was indoctrinated with as a Jehovah's Witness. At all. So, what exactly are these spiritual virtues that are in such scarce supply here? "Your speaking is pleasant, your charms are delight, your fellowship holds me, beloved Shulammite." Well, that's not very specific, is it? I mean, I'll give them the fact that Song of Solomon 4:3 mentions delightful speech, but there's so many other charms described in the Song of Solomon that would have been true to the actual spirit of the Bible book. And let's talk about fellowship for a minute. Fellowship is defined as friendly association, especially with people who share one's interests. Friendly association? Look, of all the types of relationships that exist between people, I really do not think that fellowship or friendly association is the one they're describing in the Song of Solomon. For example, Song of Solomon 4:5. "Your two breasts are like two fawns, the twins of a gazelle that feed among the lilies." Sure. I mean, I talk to my friends like that all the time, don't you? But just wait, it gets way creepier in verse 2. Thus speaks her fine shepherd, Christ Jesus her Lord. He wants her to share his eternal reward. I just bet he does. He is pretty proud of himself, though. I mean, eternal? Eternal, really? So USA Today published an article in 2014 that cited studies showing that the average duration of human sex is 7.3 minutes. And of those, 43% are done in 2 minutes or less. I mean, I get that he's the son of God and all, but wait a minute. Why are we even talking about Jesus? He wasn't even in the Song of Solomon. And this, my friends, is where we start getting really freaking weird. For centuries, Christians have been trying to pass off the idea that the Song of Solomon is actually an allegory and that the bridegroom, or Solomon, represents either Yahweh, Jehovah, or Jesus, and the bride represents either Israel or the church. Now, think about that when listening to this. Awake, north wind, and come, south wind. Blow on my garden, that its fragrance may spread everywhere. Let my beloved come into his garden and taste its choice fruits. Your stature is like that of the palm, and your breasts like clusters of fruit. I said, I will climb the palm tree. I will take hold of its fruit. May your breasts be like clusters of grapes on the vine, and the fragrance of your breath like apples. So, are we to understand that God and the church have a sexual relationship? This is just weird. I mean, it defies reason. It is absolutely preposterous, and it is so gross. And in Jehovah's Witness land, it's even more preposterous and disgusting because they believe, or at least they used to 20 years ago, the last time I went to a meeting, as evidenced by the title of this song, that Jehovah and the Remnant, that is, the 144,000 anointed, are the ones represented by the lovers in the Song of Solomon. Now, I want you to think about the brothers and sisters from your hall who ate the crackers and sipped the wine at the memorial. And then imagine them in a sexual relationship with God. Take all the time you need. And here's another issue. You would think that God would be a better communicator, honestly, if what he actually meant was, I want to get it on with the church. Why wouldn't he just say that? I mean, why the cryptic sex poem? Unless the allegory idea is totally off base and none of this really means anything at all, other than there were some people in Bible times who liked to screw. I don't know. And how does the fair one, so firm as a wall, reply to her Lord as a model for all? Now, in case you've never been schooled on the nuances of Jehovah's Witness language, this one will probably sail right over your head. But if you grew up being brainwashed studying the youth book, you'll get this message loud and clear, especially if you're a girl. Basically, the illustration here comes from the Song of Solomon. So in Song of Solomon chapter 8, they inexplicably start talking about siblings. Apparently, some friends of Solomon and the Shulammite start asking them questions for some reason. And this is what they ask. In verse 8, we have a little sister, and her breasts are not yet grown. What shall we do for our sister on the day she is spoken for? If she is a wall, we will build towers of silver on her. If she is a door, we will enclose her with panels of cedar. What the? Okay, first, why are we talking about our little sister's breasts, or lack thereof, in public? I mean, that's gross. Boundaries, people. Now, the Jehovah's Witness explanation of the wall and the door is that a female can be one of these two things. If she's a wall, it means she remains pure and frigid until marriage, when she will then somehow instantly overcome a lifetime of conditioning and shaming and be ready to get it on demand. If she's a door, well, That little harlot's just going to let anyone come right on in. Thus, the enclosure with cedar planks. That sounds comfortable, doesn't it? You know what else it sounds like? Misogyny. But it doesn't stop there. Just wait till the next verse. But there's one more thing we need to look at here before we move on. The bride actually answered this question. I am a wall, and my breasts are like towers. Thus I have become in his eyes like one bringing contentment. Whoa, hold up. She has been running around town this whole book, moaning about how she's been searching for the bridegroom and she just can't wait for him to come in her chamber or whatever. But now all of a sudden, I'm a wall. Bitch, please. Okay, gird your loins, folks. It's about to get even weirder, as if that's possible. Exclusive devotion is not a poor heart. Wait, what? Where the hell did this even come from? Why are we talking about prostitution now? I mean, what the fuck, Watchtower? I mean, this has pretty much nothing to do with the Song of Solomon. Since blazings of love are like blazings of fire, unyielding as Sheol, all true love will be like flame of Jehovah. Is your love for me? Okay, I can kind of see the blazing of love and blazing of fire thing, and that's pretty common sentiment in love songs. Cliches are cliche for a reason, after all. But true love is unyielding as Sheol? Really? So Sheol is an ancient Hebrew word that is sometimes translated as Hades or hell or the grave. The Watchtower defines it as the common grave of mankind. So basically, they're saying that true love is unyielding as death. Holy shit. If that is how they go into marriage, no wonder so many of them are miserable. Seriously. True love is absolutely not unyielding. And if yours has anything in common with Sheol, regardless of translation, then you're doing it wrong. Now, next point. Does anybody know what flame of Jehovah is? Fair Shulammite, remnant, temptations resist. Ooh. What kind of temptations? Stay clean for your bridegroom, on virtue insist. Really? Did I mention misogyny before? Yeah. Notice the implication here, that a woman is not clean or virtuous unless she's a virgin. So, what they teach girls is that males are always trying to get in your pants, no matter what. But they only marry or love girls who don't let them. And if by chance she does have sex, she's now unclean. Not him, even though he supposedly instigated the whole thing. Not him, her. Now this is really nasty and unfair and untrue. Ladies, you're only dirty if you don't bathe, okay? The end. Your virgin companions that walk in your train rejoice at your course and the prize you will gain. And here's another little gem for all the Jehovah's Witness boys and girls. Virgin companions rejoicing at your course. That is, supposedly resisting God's amorous advances, if you're feeling allegorical, remaining pure and squeaky clean, asexual, and rejoicing at the prize you will gain. Well, gee, this sort of sounds like she's marrying for money, or a reward of some kind. She's marrying for status or position or something other than love. Well, that never happened in the truth, did it? No. They would never encourage sisters to only consider dating brothers who were reaching out in the congregation, would they? I mean, a sister would never be looked up to or held up as an example because she married a pioneer or a Bethelite. Ooh, surely not. This is ridiculous. But then, if you look at it through the lens of allegory, as the Jehovah's Witnesses like to do with their slave class and their this class and their that class, then by the logic of this verse, the anointed remnant is only marrying Jehovah for the prize they're going to get. If they don't get the mansion in heaven, I guess the wedding's off. Oh, and a final point for all those closet racist, Bible-thumping people out there. So you know that beautiful Shulammite maiden that the whole entire Song of Solomon is about? The one who represents the church according to the allegory? Yeah? The King James Version clearly states that she was black. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.